Okay, Lemar.
Okay, Mackenzie.
So here's the deal. All right, so this
Are you doing the end
I'm
of the
not gonna
world
do
right
the whole
now?
thing. I promise
Yeah.
I'm not going to do the end of the world. But I'm so glad that you knew that, by the way.
Oh.
Sidebar, recently I that kind of went re-viral or whatever briefly, and the number of people who didn't know what it was, and I was like, whew, I'm old.
Millennials on the internet.
It hurts,
Unite.
man. It hurts.
We're here.
Yeah. No, we found our people though.
Yeah.
That happened for sure. So there's that. Okay, but I won't do the whole thing, I promise. I do, however, have a fun, I think, song related question for you. So as you know, we're doing like a racing movie, but I would say it was a very music heavy movie this time, really.
Oh, absolutely.
And they have this whole discussion about like, what's your racing song? Like, what gets you going? What's going to be your driver? Maybe your getaway song, whatever. Like, what gets you moving? And then I also want to hear, what do you have to turn off immediately song? Like, it comes on the radio and you're like, slam the dial. Absolutely not.
I can't remember if I've said something similar to this on the pod before, but I feel like Motley Crue's "Kickstart My Heart," which ironically is in next week's movie, Talladega Nights, spoiler, but it is in there, and I got really excited for that one because that's like my go-to get pumped song. I just feel like I don't know, something about the drums and guitar, it all weaves together. On the flip side of that, I am currently building the worst power hour of all time. So 60 songs, 60 minutes for my birthday. And I'm making a point to choose the worst songs of all time. So this is kind of very apt timing. I will say, I'll name a few. Probably number one for me would be "Who Let the Dogs Out" by the Baha Men. That was absolutely on the list.
I didn't know you were literally doing it this way. Okay. I'm in for a treat. It sounds like.
If we all survive this 60 minutes, it's going to be a miracle. Nickelback's "Photograph" is another one.
Oh my God. Yes. So overplayed.
We should make a shitty version of "Baby Driver" with these songs scoring the whole. So Banga Boys,
I don't think you can vroom to them the right way. You know what I mean? I don't think
I'm going to make Edgar Wright do it. I'm going to pay him millions of dollars and be like, cut this all together with the action in the movie. All these terrible songs. "I'm Blue" by Eiffel 65.
Oh my God. This is such a throwback. This is such a moment, you know?
But I think if I had to go with one, like the worst song in history, at least according to how popular it is the Black Eyed Peas' "I Got a Feeling." It's fucking horrendous. The lyrics are so dumb and so repetitive. There's like the Jewish Mazel Tov thing in the middle of there is very strange. It's just not a good song. Even the beat isn't that good. And it gets played at every wedding I go to. So if you play that at your wedding when I'm there, it automatically drops you from a 9 to an 8 or a 7 to a 6 in my wedding rankings. Yeah.
You're like, you bombed the wedding. Sorry, not it. Okay. All right. Well, those check out for me. I'm not looking forward to this power hour, though. I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe I'm just going to show up.
That's the point.
I'm going to show up a little late for that one. I don't know.
How about
you? In true to form fashion, I can't pick one, but my definition of this is like, I can race. I could go full blown racing mode listening to some of these songs. So very quick handful. "Counting Stars," One Republic. "Hot Blood," Kaleo. Also "Hey Gringo" by Kaleo is one. "Supermassive Black Hole," Muse, obviously.
Who loves that song? Yeah.
Who doesn't? Monsters? I don't know.
Everybody who saw Twilight loves that song because they play baseball to that song.
Obviously.
Best scene in cinema history.
Obviously. The best baseball scene in cinema history.
We should have done that for our baseball. Twilight.
Oh, indeed. And speaking of Monsters by Shinedown, if you haven't heard it, that's another jam. And there's a couple like Barnes Courtney songs that are the same thing. But like if those come on in the car, I'm like, I could be on like a 2-lane road and I'm gonna like lose it. I'm gonna go nuts and I'm gonna floor it. But on the flip side of that, anything Gavin DeGraw turns on, I want to rage against his voice.
I know one Gavin DeGraw song. He didn't make as much of an impact on me as he did you, apparently.
I just hate him. I just hate his. It's like one of those. Have you ever heard that?
His face.
I just hate his face. Have you ever heard that like horrible old stand-up skit from Dane Cook where he's like, "Have you ever heard a sound that makes you want to like punch a baby?" And that's what I think of every time I hear Gavin DeGraw's voice. I'm like, I want to punch a baby right now. So
is he still around? Like, do you still hear his music
I
in places, or
think
just in like
I still
CVS when they
hear it.
play
It's a
one of his
lot.
songs?
No, yeah. It's
Yeah.
an old school. Like I don't hear anything new from him.
Okay.
I mean, certainly not a fan, so I don't keep up with his shit. Maybe he's got some new stuff, but I hear his old stuff come on, and yeah, in public or at a bar or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, in the CVS or whatever. And yeah, I just want to commit light murder. No
All
big
right.
deal.
Well, fuck you, Gavin DeGraw. Let's talk about this movie.
In the edit, Lamar's going to play a Gavin DeGraw song right here, just to
I
fuck
might
with
have
me.
to add it onto the Power Hour just for you now. There weren't any
Oh
songs by
God, I
him, but
shouldn't
now
have said
I'm
this.
gonna add 5.
This is terribly timed. My bad. Welcome back to We Drink and We Watch Things. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Lemar.
And we are continuing.
Oh shit, we haven't recorded in a few weeks.
We are not continuing. Oh shit, we haven't recorded in a few weeks. We are continuing.
August. Been a minute.
Yes, thank you. Yes, it has been a minute, but you did great, actually,
Thank
once
you.
you remembered what you were doing. We are continuing things with a fun one. Very different than the first two, less like official racing-y heavy. Baby Driver. Very drive heavy, though.
Oh yeah, every scene that takes place in a motor vehicle in this is incredible. The rest of the movie is okay, like good to fine.
Yeah.
But everything that's in a car in this is fantastic.
I would agree with that. All right, before we get into the deets there, no spoilers. What are we drinking to power us through this?
So our cocktail, as always, brought to you by @Craft World, minus the vowels. And this one is 2 ounces of citrus vodka, 1 ounce of Mr. Black coffee liqueur, half an ounce of ginger liqueur, and half an ounce of cream. And Skylar actually recommended like not shaking or stirring this, transferring it back and forth between 2 glasses to like muddle it. I don't know what the word is for that, but just to get like a frothy top on it. It didn't
agitate
seem to work for me.
is the word that he used. Agitated.
Sometimes Skylar's recipes agitate me. So I think I put too much ice because I did not get any froth on this. But
I got no froth either.
It's super milky, super creamy, and we're calling this the baby bottle for baby.
For baby. And you have like a, I don't know, kind of a bodily type of vibe to your glass. I like it.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. I tried to find a bottle, like a baby bottle-esque glass, and I'm both happy and sad to report that I don't have one. So, didn't work out. Well, yeah, I didn't get any froth either, if it makes you feel any better, but it is pretty tasty. It is
reminds me like
tasty.
a mudslide, but it's got that weird, the citrus and the ginger's doing something, but it reminds me a bit of a mudslide.
A little something.
Yeah.
A little something, something. All right, well, let's get into a little something, something. Baby Driver, 2017. This has a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb. Pretty decent. Yep. And pretty high on Rotten Tomatoes as well. 92% of critics and 86% of audiences. So pretty highly rated. I hadn't seen it in a hot minute despite owning it. And so I was a little worried how this was going to hold up. We talked about it offline. And I was like, I have some concerns and we'll get into those. But I still think these ratings are like about fair. I think this is,
I'll come right out and say it now. The best watch I had of this movie was the first watch. It isn't one that's getting better on repeat viewings. There's parts of it that I tune in for because they're so fucking good. And a lot of it does drag. This is my 3rd or 4th time watching. And I think I told you we watched it. Janelle's dad had never seen it. So last year during the holidays, we threw it on because I hadn't watched it in a few. So now I've watched it twice in 8 months. And that was a bit of a slog this time getting through. That might be.
You were like, this was too much.
Yeah.
I agree with that though. The first watch is the best. I think there's something about not quite obviously knowing where it's going to go and the pacing that hits a little different on that first watch. I do agree. It kind of goes a little downhill, but I still think it's a good time. It's a good one.
Oh yeah.
Good one to watch. So our writer director here we've spoken about before, Edgar Wright, did things that we have mentioned many times, but quick recap: Shaun of the Dead, World's End, and actually recently, which I didn't see it, I don't know if you did, but I was very curious about it, the Sparks Brothers. I don't remember if we talked about this. Have you seen it? Yeah, it's really interesting. It looks really avant-garde, to say the least.
I know he's doing the Running Man remake next. In a couple months, I think that comes out. But yeah, I heard about that. Sparks Brothers.
It looked interesting, and it was just one of those that I like tried to see in theaters and missed it because it was so quick. It was a very like, kind of a indie small budget thing. So I missed
That's
it and I wasn't sure.
surprising if that's Edgar Wright, because I feel like he would get whatever the fuck budget he wants, because so far he
I
hasn't
think it was
really.
just such a niche topic.
Okay.
Like I think people didn't. I mean, it looked odd for sure, but I just don't think there were that many fans of the Sparks Brothers to
Interesting.
garner the audience, perhaps. All right, major cast and crew here. Ansel Elgort, which bless him, he's so good. I feel for him with that last name, man. What a name. What a name. Elgort. But he plays Baby / Miles. And he has been in a number of things, but I think the things that people know him the most for are The Fault in Our Stars, which is very different from this, and then Divergent, which is very different from both. So he's got like decent range. I think he does well.
Yeah, he does fine in this. He's also a EDM DJ or music producer. His recording name is Ansolo, Ansolo. I think I've heard a couple of his songs.
I was going to say, have you heard any of it? I haven't heard it.
I went on Spotify and listened to a few of them. I feel like he was playing like a music festival and when I was there, but didn't take the time. I didn't know it was him at the time, so I didn't go see.
Sidebar.
Being famous makes being movie famous makes your music better. That's just a fact.
I think that is a fact. And one of the other examples of this is Idris Elba. Love of my life.
He has a band? What kind of music?
He's a DJ. Oh. He's a DJ. Yeah. And it's legit because it's Idris Elba, by default. It's just good, Another one who's in here who is quite legendary, famous, has quite the repertoire, but I don't feel the need to talk a lot about, is Mr. Kevin Spacey. Problematic as fuck. He plays Doc. He's semi-shitty in this movie as well. So I don't know. I guess it kind of works for me.
I don't mean to make light of anything, but I do like that every time we bring up Kevin Spacey, we shit all over him because he's a bad person. But the fact that we bring this up every time, his quote unquote apology was him in character as Frank from House of Cards doing this weird thing about how they're not going to get me. And it was so fucking, only like a crazed Hollywood person who's so out of touch with reality would think this would work. It was bonkers.
Right. Somebody who is like completely disassociated. Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I wanted to be like, just go eat a banana with the peel on and fuck all the way off, you douchebag. That's a K-Pax reference if y'all didn't know. Anyways, yeah, fuck that guy. So who is awesome in this cast though? Lily James. I love her. She doesn't have as much screen time here as I would like because she literally lights up the screen in anything that she's in, I think. She plays Deborah, the love interest of our boy baby, and she's been in a bunch of things, but a few of the ones that I really like or pop into my head are Cinderella. She did a really good the live action Cinderella remake was her, and that one was just visually stunning, like the costumes and the colors and whatever. Sidebar. And then Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. She did the part 2. She plays.
I haven't seen either.
No,
I want to see them. I have nothing against.
They are
ABBA,
good. They are good. Yeah. No, Abbott. It's really. I think they're really good. But she plays the young Meryl Streep, who's the lead in the first one, and and so it's like her growing up and like how she ended up, how the story kind of came to be. And she does a really good job. She's super talented. She's a great voice, which you hear a little bit of in here as well. So yeah, I think it's a good turn for her in this one. I think.
Agreed.
She was also it was originally supposed to be Emma Stone, who funnily enough left this production to do La La Land and went on to win the Oscar for La La Land. So I think like good choices all around, but
yeah, everything worked out fine. My only complaint about the two leads here, I guess you call them the leads, the romantic leads. Parts of this, they can't decide what kind of accents they want to have. They kind of go in and out of these, like, are they Southern? Yeah. Are they just really innocent and adorable? They kind of go in and out depending on the moment. It's not as bad as the movie Troy with Brad Pitt and Orlando. Yeah. It's not that bad, but it's just like we probably could have committed a little more.
She's also English, which I think, and this is like a little bit earlier in her career, so I don't know if she's like struggling with the accent. Was kind of my read from her.
You explain what Jamie Foxx is doing throughout this film?
Jamie Foxx was just fangirling over Kevin Spacey, if we're being honest.
Jamie Foxx just showed up and they were like, kind of be like Wesley Snipes in the 90s. Just do one of those characters and just try to be kind of a dick, and he crushes it for that expectation.
He's a funny dick who's got like a lot of puns, like a lot of silly puns. He really leans into the puns on this one. I'll say
he
that.
might be my least favorite part on rewatch. I'm not saying it's horrendous, but he sticks out like a sore thumb of like, there's a bunch of characters in this and they all have their little mannerisms and weird quirks about them, but he is the worst of the bunch.
Yeah, and I think he sticks out like a sore thumb is the call out there. He does. He just really sticks out in these scenes, and he does detract from it here and there, I think, for sure.
Occasionally, yeah, I'm just like, dude, I don't know. Some of it's probably the script, like whatever dialogue was actually written for him. Some of those punchlines do not hit, especially on second, third, fourth rewatch. But
some of them were his improv, so there's also that. So some of it we can blame on Jamie Foxx. Okay. Okay, before we roast Jamie Foxx too hard, we got a few more in here. Aisa Gonzalez plays Darling, Monica. She has been in a couple of things that I've seen, but a lot of things I haven't seen. But she was in the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is really great if you haven't seen it. And then I Care a Lot, which is like really dark and twisty and also pretty good. And
I haven't seen that one. I did see Ministry. That was good.
Yeah, that was good. That's a Guy Ritchie for those that don't know. And it's not his best, but it's a fun one. Yeah. John Hamm, obviously, who I straight up forgot was in this, which is kind of absurd, but I did kind of forget. And then he showed up and I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy. I don't know. He kind of like was an anonymous dude to me in my head for a long time, I guess, in my memory of this. But yes, it's John Hamm. He plays Buddy / Jason. And he's done lots of different stuff. This is very different for him. This is like a pretty different turn, I think. But trying to be this like edgy criminal guy, you know,
I think he pulls it off successfully.
He does. He does.
I know you're going to get into stuff he's been in, but recently he did the newest season of Fargo, and he was like the villain in that and playing this like super racist and abusive husband, like possessive, like polygamist basically. And he was pretty scary in that, and he was also the sheriff of the town. Go figure, that happens in real life. So yeah.
Wow. I haven't seen the TV series Fargo, so that's interesting. He was also recently in Landman on Paramount Plus, which is like a it's like a Texas oil fields kind of story. It's a Taylor Sheridan thing, and he plays like the owner of an oil company, also kind of a bad guy. But he's been in Bridesmaids, which was like a funnier, silly turn for him. He was in Mad Men, which is like his breakout thing, obviously.
He loves being in movies with something men.
I guess so. And then he was in The Morning Show recently. So like he kind of had like a weird hiatus there for a hot minute. And now it seems like he's in everything again. So that's cool. And then Jamie Foxx, who we said, he plays Bats, Leon. He has obviously done Ray and Django Unchained, some of his best stuff. Those are my faves. And then John Bernthal, who we just talked about recently, and he plays Griff, but he's in this movie for all of like 5 minutes.
Do we need to give John Bernthal? I know he's on the poster, but like
we do, because my favorite part about it is that he says at one point, if you don't see me again, then I'm dead. Then it means I'm dead.
You never see him,
and you never see him again. So I just thought it was fun. I think
that's not really a spoiler, guy. It happens, guys. It happens.
It's really not. It's in the
minutes of the movie. Yeah,
right. Totally. But I just think it's funny because he appears. He's there. He's really kind of obnoxious in the first 5 minutes, and then apparently he dies. That's what we've learned. So, anywho's quick plot summary, and then we'll get into the good stuff. So, coerced into working for a crime boss, a young getaway driver must face the music. Punny. When a doomed heist threatens his life, love, and freedom.
IMDb, you're out of control.
Oh man, they don't learn. Mm-hmm. They don't learn from their mistakes, I guess. But yeah, so that's pretty accurate, pretty fair. And then quick production note. This was a $34 million budget, not crazy. They actually saved a ton of budget by shooting in Atlanta versus LA, which is where they originally wanted to shoot. And it was just too expensive. And they basically financed the majority of this film with tax subsidies from Atlanta. And they made the local community like $38 million in tourist revenue. So
we're gonna have to do a deep dive at some point where we talk about all these little tricks of the movie industry. It doesn't even have to be talking about one specific movie, but I know you always end up seeing that logo at the end of films. It's like sponsored by Georgia or whatever the fuck it is. There's that Georgia Peach logo. So you
Yeah.
know that they shoot a lot of stuff. I know Walking Dead was all recorded there, the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, all these little things throughout history of why people record in the places they do, and these tax subsidies where the movie kind of pays for itself. It's crazy.
I was gonna say a lot of it is exactly that. It's like what's gonna pay for what's gonna give me the highest profit margin. And Atlanta is very well known for that in the States of having really good subsidies. I mean, that's where a lot of the Avengers movies are actually shot. Or Marvel, I
In
should
a
say.
tiny like 50 by 50 room with green screens everywhere.
Definitely a lot of that.
It's like
Definitely
a
a lot of
3-bedroom
that.
apartment and a lot of green screen.
But yes, that plus the Atlanta City stuff passes for a lot of New York City and like some of these other cities that you see them kind of destroy, obviously, in the Marvel movies. So, yeah, but let's get into it. Turn around. Don't drown. It's spoiler time. All right. I have so many thoughts about this movie. And my first thing was in my literal first note is the iPod, the opening song, bell bottoms. Like, what are we? I was like, this is going to be so fun.
If nothing else from this film stands the test of time, this opening sequence, it's how I feel. And I know this was like an Oscar contender or winner or whatever. But when we did The French Connection with Gene Hackman, I don't remember much about that movie, but I remember that car chase at the end, and it's one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about this. I think there's multiple really good scenes in this, but if nothing else, this first car chase is fucking incredible.
It's so good. I mean, it's such a great opener. It's like it sets the tone, I think, really. Like you're kind of dropped right into the action. And at least for me, you get this like throwback moment of the iPod and all this stuff, which is funny because if you look at it, like he's got flip phones, he's got iPods, he's got all this stuff, and it's kind of like really more about him living off the grid. Like we're not in 2006, we're in 2017, but he's kind of not adapting to those things because he's kind of living this criminal life.
Did you
right?
read the quote from Edgar Wright about the iPods though and the sunglasses?
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
it's just like, well, if you were stealing cars since you were 12 years old, what's the one thing you would probably keep from all of them? A lot of free sunglasses and iPods. So that explains.
Yeah.
I never pieced that together. I never questioned it, honestly. I was just like, he loves music and he likes sunglasses. It never occurred to me that that's the logic behind the character.
Well, and if I like on a prior watch, I was like, dude, you can just make playlists, right? Because he was like, I have this on this. He at one point gets asked, do you have whatever on this? And he's like, not on this one, and he pulls out the pink.
But it makes sense
one.
if it's somebody else's iPod and he's not taking the time to add his iTunes library. Who's got time for that when you're stealing
Who
cars?
has time? Listen, I used to do that and it was very time consuming. And so I understand. But yeah, he just busted out. And I remember thinking like, you can just have a new playlist. And then, I looked into it and I was like, oh, and that's kind of fun because he's got these like different modes, different iPads for these different different heists, and
the genres. We can tying into this opening sequence. We can talk already about how you mentioned the music up front, and I just love how it spans all these different genres, but it all sort of melds together into this.
Yeah, I do. I think he has such an eclectic mix of stuff, but he kind of, I think, does have a little bit of like an old soul, old energy.
Yeah.
I wore my Grateful Dead shirt today because I thought it was the vibe for this particular movie. It felt like edgy, racy, and of the genres that he would like as well. So he kind of like drops you right in. You get a sense of his music, like how important it is. You don't get the full backstory yet, but you get that he's like needs the music to play while he races. And I think the most car-esque moment in this is that first scene, to your point, like where you just get the zoom in on the car. And so like this is a 2006 Subaru WRX STI, and this is in San Remo red. And I love that you get the like wheel shot where it's in on the red caliper, and then you zoom out to the like the black and red. And I think it's cool to note that this is like a recurring color scheme throughout this, right? And they reference it repeatedly too. It's like she says something later about when he sees red, you only see black, right? And then Jamie Foxx's character is wearing red and black. And then later, and there's this scene where there's an underglow on the car that's red, but the car, like the surrounding is black. So it's like this recurring color scheme that's kind of a fun reference and tells you a little bit about the scene throughout. And that car is a highly worked on car. Like this is such a street ride kind of car. So it really does fit the scene. And fun fact, he got to keep it afterward. So that's kind of cool.
You can go into all the colors and the schemes and all the artistry of this. I think it's funny when John Bernthal points forward and instead he goes backwards. I like that part. So, when they go in reverse. But just this for
It's
you,
funny, to be fair.
Yeah. You said, though, this sets the tone for how big of a role music will play in this film. And I don't want to deep dive too much here, but I do want to point out, like, and this isn't just an Edgar Wright. This is the product of Edgar Wright, also the director of photography. His name is Bill Pope. And unfortunately, I didn't get like any of the names of the sound designers, sound mixers, those type of, but shout out to them because this movie is just a master class in sound and music editing. Bill Pope, the DP, as I said, described it as like a postmodern musical. He said there's no singing or dancing, but everything in the film moves to the beat of music, and you can watch throughout where there's just every song in the background is tying into what you're seeing on screen.
Oh, it was absolutely critical. I mean, like so if you didn't already know, Edgar Wright wrote the script with pacing to the music. Like he knew what he wanted the music to be. So it was like he would rewrite a scene to fit the song, to fit the music. So like
to like its length.
That's right. Like when do you hear that? Who does that? This motherfucker does that. And then I think the other really cool thing that he did, and I don't know if you read about this, was like he sent all the actors the script with a playlist. And it was like, play this throughout, like at this point. And it was like to get them in the zone of their character.
Was it a playlist or was it an actual iPod?
It was an actual iPod.
Yeah, like that's pretty fucking cool to get an iPod with your script.
The script was on, I think it was an iPad. So it was like the script is on the iPad. Okay. And then it played. So, but yeah.
Not as cool. But
not as cool. Not as cool. That would be cool if you sent the actual iPod. But iPad's close-ish. But I thought that was so cool to like just immerse you in your character and the music of what this character at this point in the story. So I thought that was a really neat way to kind of get your actors on board, you know?
They said that later in the movie when the Damned is playing that song, Neat, 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 the entire reason that Baby has to go, no, I have to start over again is because Edgar had mistimed it.
Yeah.
And the song wasn't long enough for the sequence. So they were like, we'll just write it in where he starts the song over. Boom, we go.
And I think also too, like, there's multiple points where you can tell the sequence matters to him as a character, right? Like we see that come through in the script, of course, but he, like, if the sequence is off or the song is off or the vibes are like the music is off, he's off. You know, that happens to him later. Like he's stumbling and all these things. But you see right at the beginning, that Harlem Shuffle scene is like him so in sync, right? You're getting like right away how immersed in the music he is, how much he's in tune with it. And that scene is him like in sync to everything around him. And the music is kind of powering that. And I love how smooth it is. And then how he just commits to the music in a public place, right? Like he leans back and he's like doing the trumpet thing in front of the window. And he doesn't care, you know, that's how immersed in it he is. But they did 28 takes of that. And they put in the film the 21st take. So like,
poor guy, do that 7 more takes.
28 times.
Like, the 21st one, we did 25% more takes. Anyway, you called out something that I have never picked up on before. And I know I pieced it together because of what you said. How carefree and like the spirit of this character when he's out in the open like this is so different than when he's in the room with these criminals and he's so reserved and quiet and just sits in the back and he's clearly not part of that world. And it's obvious when you think about it, but I had never it seemed like a paradox of a character, but really it's just like he's not himself when he's in this room with them.
No, I think he's in like a preservation mode for sure. I mean, he is required to be there. I mean, you definitely glean that pretty quickly, but you, at least early on, you think like it's only the music that kind of makes him feel at peace and like gives him some swagger and all this, because you see that juxtaposition of him in this room versus that. But then you also see him meet this girl in the diner later, and all of a sudden he's turning on the charm there too. So it's not just that, it's that room. Like to your point, it's that room, it's that place, it's that environment that really shuts him down. And you see him with his foster dad, same thing. And like, so it tells you a lot about who he is in that space and how he doesn't want to be there, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's not an informant, for the record. When he's in that room and he's just a SoundCloud DJ. He's just trying to make beats. They're not very good. It seems very strange to put yourself in danger of getting killed by the mob or whatever the crime ring here, just because you want to make shitty music.
I thought that is definitely one of the weirdest aspects of this character of like, if they ever found this, how dead you would be. I mean, they've done a million jobs together. How has nobody found this? Has nobody noticed him recording anything? And of course they're going to assume you're an informant. What's wrong with you? But also at the same time, I'm like, at least an informant would probably be wired. So maybe that's the only case in his favor of it probably wouldn't be on a literal little tape recorder.
So, I think it puts him in a class with only one other character in cinema, and that's Kevin McAllister in Home Alone 2, walking around with the talk boy. It's him and Baby Driver. They're like kindred spirits, I feel like.
I think that's the vibe. That's the energy for sure.
Credit card, you got it. Sorry.
I think also though, like you get into, you get to see this driving and his skill set, and then you kind of get his backstory. And to your point earlier about the script, very briefly, I think it's a great call out of like the script itself is a little clunky. Yeah. Like for us to hear his backstory is very on the nose, like Griff has a really intense reaction to him. Jamie Foxx has an intense reaction to him. And during those scenes, you get more of his backstory. He's been on every job. He's boosting cars, and he's like doing the chalk and everything. And it was one of the few times where, listen, Kevin Spacey's a fucking asshole. He's a bad person. He's a good actor, right? Yeah. But that scene where he was like doing the chalk and the whatever spiel about Baby, I was like, not your best. Like, not your best work. And I think it's the script, there.
I wrote down, this is an 80s movie that just so happened to come out in 2017. If you like look at the character archetypes and the way the script plays out, the diner romance, like it feels like something from a John Hughes movie, but it's a car chase movie. It's very strange in a good way.
I think that's a great call out, actually. I mean, I think that's kind of the vibes he was going for, I think, at the end of the day. But yeah, there's, as a result, some like pretty cheesy dialogue and some pretty meh moments in terms of that. And even like that earlier chase where John Hamm's character, which is Buddy, and Darlin are there. They are like, they're fucking too much. Their tattoos on their neck, the his and the hers on their respective bodies. Ew. I just gotta say, ew. Like, what?
At least they're both property in this scenario. It's not just one of them that has it.
I mean, I guess it's egalitarian in its own way, but yikes, gross. It was too much. But I think to our earlier point, John Hamm does pull it off. But yeah, I was like, ew, I would never, absolutely not.
They're two of the stronger components in the movie, I would say. I really do wish that we could have gotten John Bernthal to stick around, because I said this last month during Ford versus Ferrari. I fucking love me some John Bernthal, but with Kevin Spacey being what he is, with Jamie Foxx not quite as bad as Kevin Spacey, but goddamn does he make it difficult in this movie. I think those two actually are pretty fun to watch on screen, and I like that they get weirder as the movie goes. At first, just like they're kind of cardboard cutout villains, but they're young and in love and doing crazy stuff. But as you flesh out, like they're probably drug addicts. They're doing this to like feed the habit. Jamie Foxx's Bats kind of has them all figured out. And then as she's later on, when she says, I liked it when you stabbed that guy or whatever. And he's like, which one? And you start to see the crazy coming out of this. If this is like some Bonnie and Clyde shit. Yeah.
Yeah, this is some Bonnie and Clyde shit in the dark, and which, like, we shouldn't romanticize Bonnie and Clyde. They were really dark and twisty and pretty bad. So, like, these are legitimately very Bonnie and Clyde-esque. And yeah, you're right. It's like kind of a slow burn to see how cray-cray they really actually are.
Which I think works out well. Like,
yeah, no, it does.
With the way that, for sure. I don't want to skip, but the way that the final boss ends up being Buddy that holds up really. I still love how that plays out, because it like breaks the trope in half of, you assume Kevin Spacey is going to be the final guy, blah, blah, blah. I don't love what they do with his character, but Buddy is buddying up with Baby, alliteration, throughout this film. And of all the characters that you would think is going to turn on him or be this giant evil presence at the end, it wouldn't be him. And I kind of like that they do that.
Yeah, you get this, I think I read somewhere, I can't remember where it said it, but somebody was like, he's one of those tragic father figures. Like Kevin Spacey becomes this kind of tragic replacement father figure who is ultimately bad, but has these moments of goodness, right? Which is, it's kind of a trope in and of itself, of the dad who's like not bad, but I mean, is bad, but has one bad,
Yeah.
one great moment here and there. And so he does help him at a certain point, but up to then, he's very much holding him hostage, and it makes it really hard to see that dynamic as anything but a hostage situation, and this guy being a terrible person. But I love that they actually contrast that with his foster father, CJ, who is such a cool character on the whole. One, he is deaf, and he is played by a deaf actor, and all of those scenes are done in sign language, and Ansel learned sign language to do these scenes with
Oh,
him.
that's cool.
And so like which is, I mean, maybe obvious, but I just thought I would call it out. He does do them in those scenes, and they kind of bonded and were sweet and all of that. But like that dynamic is really like, that person wants to take care of him, but he also wants to take care of his father figure as well. And I think that's really sweet in terms
It's
of their
also a
dynamic.
very, like, not to undo the point you're making, but it's also a very another on the nose way to be like, look, this is a good guy. We like him. Okay, baby's not a
Yes.
bad boy. He's taking care of this guy, and like they're dancing together and saying like
Yeah.
it's very heartwarming, and there's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. I'm not trying to criticize, but it's
No,
just again making it very obvious that we're supposed to like this character.
I think so too. I think it's also alluding to the fact that he gets his love of music partially from this man. All the records in this room, there's an implication that he hasn't always been deaf. He does still like sort of speak, he
Mm-hmm.
kind of has
Yeah.
a muted voice to him. And there's tons of records. And again, we've established that, baby is using iPods and all these things, right? So they're probably not his, they're probably CJ's. And so, but they probably bonded over that music and all of that. And so I like that, as this person has come in after some trauma for baby, and not only taking care of him, but also introduced him to this thing that has sort of saved him from the circumstances that he's in, right? Saved him with music, which I think is what music does. Music saves, if you ask me. So
Yeah.
I think it's a really beautiful bond for the two of them that you get to kind of look back on. But partially, I was curious what you thought of the flashback and forth that happens from his parents, his actual parents,
Mm-hmm.
to him, and like why the trauma has happened, why he ended up with CJ, where like some of that story that's not told but shown. Like, how did that feel? What did you think about
I
those
thought it
scenes?
was fine. Do they do it all? I'm trying to remember. I watched it like 2 nights ago. Did they do it all in one segment, or do they split
No,
it up over the course of the movie?
they split it up, and he has these kind of repeated
Okay.
flashbacks that feel like not well timed, right? Like, not, I don't mean in the sense of the pacing of the movie. I
I
mean for
mean,
him,
for
the
what it's worth, based on
character,
I
right?
couldn't remember that they did more than one, so I'm going to agree with you that they're not well timed. I remember the last one where they show you
Yeah.
everything that happens, and it's like his semi happy childhood, him getting the iPod, him in the car, his
Mm-hmm.
parents arguing, yelling at him, and then the accident happens. And I
Well,
think
and I
it's
more mean like for
fine.
the character, it's not well timed. It's like he snaps out of these situations where he
Oh.
needs to kind of be alert, and he's having these like kind of flashbacks
Mm.
to what happened to him. And yeah, it builds, but there's only like two major flashback scenes, mostly the wreck, to your point. Um and the reason I don't like them is I don't think that they don't give us quite enough. It's like, if you're gonna I feel like they needed to be a better thread for us to have real emotional
They
attachment
could
to
have
those
had
scenes.
him tell Deborah this. They have a conversation about his parents
Yeah.
dying and him getting in the accident, and that's why he has to have the head. So he could have just delivered an emotional monologue about what
Yeah.
happened. We didn't
With
need to
the
flash back and be like, "Look, he got an iPod and his ears got hurt." Get it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like you could even play those same scenes with his narration or something. It's the them playing with no narration and it being interspersed that makes it
Yeah.
feel kind of like a disassociation, really, more than anything else.
Yeah.
So
It's
those were kind of
unnecessary.
weird for me, as all. Those
Yeah.
scenes were kind of weird for me.
That's fair. I wanted to touch base really quick because, as we said, there's more than just one incredible action sequence in this. That first chase is bonkers, but I had forgotten how good the second job is. The one with bats and with the guy. Is it Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers? Isn't he one of
It
them?
literally is.
Yes,
It's literally Flea. Flea plays, I think it's Eddie is his name, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
but the three of them, I love the gag with the Michael Myers
Yes.
masks. That's pretty solid.
That's hilarious because it was a licensing issue for the movie. Like they actually wanted the Michael Myers masks. They couldn't afford it due to budget. So he literally called Mike Myers and was
They couldn't
like,
afford
hey,
4 masks.
apparently not.
I'm guessing it was the licensing issue, but yes,
that's what I
get
mean. It's the licensing issue, but they couldn't afford that. And then they called Mike Myers and was like, hey, bro, would you mind if we made this like light joke at your expense? And Mike Myers thought it was funny and said, go for it.
It works much better because of that.
It
like,
does.
That joke is one of the better jokes in the film. He's like, this is Mike Myers pointing with the mask on. I'm just going to pretend the first thing you said is true. And somebody went to Spirit of Halloween and they were like, well, the Austin Powers mask is on sale. That's all we got in budget. So
they were like, "This is Mike Myers. He gave me a 20 price. And this is all I have."
Yeah. But the comedy moments in that, as well as that second action sequence in the bank parking lot, who knew you could do so much there? And then the street race after that with quote unquote Soldier Boy. I thought that was pretty interesting. An interesting way to throw it. It doesn't feel inorganic that there's a guy playing hero that has a bunch of guns in his pickup truck. I'm like, yeah, it tracks. Yeah, you're in the South.
You're in the South. Yeah, and I think like they have these great action sequences. They have these great chases, and they went through something like 150 cars in this production.
But they didn't have the budget for the masks.
They didn't have the budget. Listen, apparently the Michael Myers mask license is very expensive. Like, don't touch that with a 10-foot pole. But they did have that, like, where they went through so many cars, and they have like what I like about so many different cars in this movie is more often than not, I mean, we've seen this in a couple we've already saw, you have like a specific sponsorship, and so you see a lot of those cars, right? Like if you look at the Marvel movies for years, there's a bunch of Acuras, right? And then there's a bunch of Audis and whatever. Versus in this, there's a pretty hot mix of cars. You know, there's some Challengers, there's Dodges. The Dodges are the bad guys, if you didn't notice, by the way. There's some Mercedes, there's the Subarus, that the way it feels more authentic, to your point.
Yeah, at one point he gets into like an old Camry from like the early aughts and tries to
escape
in that. Like, it doesn't
I
feel
love
like
when he
steals
the old lady car, and it's like this like old probably Eldorado or something, and it's purple, you know. I just thought that was hilarious. And he throws her purse back at her.
I do like that. For as much as I criticize like these very obvious on the nose moments of he's a good boy, that we get sort of at the end, they bring them all into court as character witnesses. That kind of pays itself off in that way, so that's cool.
I like that they do that and that they sort of speak to in his defense. I just think it's kind of funny that they thought it would work, because I mean, this was some pretty heavy duty damage that occurred, and he's not gonna get away with this for sure. But I did also like, to your point, there's a lot of great action sequences and scenes, and I did want to touch on briefly like the stunts that happen in here.
Okay.
In one of those escape scenes. So this was done. There was a choreographer, there was a race and stunt coordinator, and there was a stunt driver. And the stunt driver, Jeremy Fry, does the majority of the stunts that we see in this movie. The driving stunts, I should say. And they also did practical driving, right? So there's very few like CGI effects here in terms of the drive. There's mostly that's like edit background stuff, like blurs and things that didn't work out. So most of the accidents, crashes, driving are practical effects. And one of them was that scene, and this one fucking stressed me out, was the alley scene. Do you remember that one where he's like going through that tight alley and he has to he kind of turn around, he has to flip and he has to do the reverse or whatever. So this is like the 180 in and 180 out move, which is something that is in like super tight space. So it's really hard to do. He did it in 5 or 6 takes, they said. And he's like, there's money being spent on this camera, so you don't want to do that many takes, because what if the the camera gets damaged in this process. So they have to be out of the way. And so he knocked it out. Like he has to drive forward and backward in this alley after doing this maneuver, not hit the truck, not hit the wall, not hit the camera. And he did it in like 5 takes, which I think is incredible.
Aren't we getting stunt Oscars next year? Is that official?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it's next year. It's supposed to be. Yeah, the fall. I think it was this year
that guy wins one, considering how good of a driver he was in this.
Yeah, it was crazy. He also did the freeway chase. So they had that earlier where he's like getting onto the freeway from that lower level when he's doing that escape scene. They did not have authorization to shut down the highway. So like that goes on to I-85 in Atlanta, and they were not allowed to go like shut it down. They could film, but they couldn't shut it down. So they only had like 8 hours to film in this space. And so they had like literally prescripted, we need 2 red cars of this various generic whatever. And they had to time that perfectly to do those jumps and do that scene. And they rehearsed like an hour before, earlier in the morning, and they fucking shot it. And so I just thought that was crazy that they did this in real traffic and jumped that whole ramp into the next scene. And I
love that moment.
It was pretty wild.
I love that moment. It is a little suspension of disbelief because it's like, well, what would he have done if there weren't 2 identical red cars going under the bridge or the underpass at that exact same moment? But it's a movie. I get it. I do really like when you're speaking of all the stunt work and the practical stuff. It's such a little thing, but I really do. I hadn't seen often where they do the truck getting stuck like under the moving semi and they're kind of being pushed along with it. I thought that was pretty cool for something so simple. I don't know how many times I've seen that in cinema where they're like wedged and then they get out.
Can't think of one where they get back out, which you're right. Yeah. Like they're stuck under it. And I had one of my cousins, actually, she had that accident in high school. Her car got stuck under an 18-wheeler and she got dragged. And like, so yeah, you don't typically pull yourself back out of that at that point. It was pretty gnarly, but they did a good job of that scene.
In one of the Fast and the Furious, but those are being filmed in the same green apartment as fucking Marvel.
Well, no, those are so low. They just go under, they totally go in and out.
Don't give the first one too much practical credit. Okay. I will let the first one slide, but the newer ones are definitely being filmed alongside those Marvel movies in that green screen apartment.
Oh, for sure. The first one did have some practical effects. They had to lift that 18-wheeler to get that car to be able to, the Supras that do that. Anyway, sidebar. But yeah, and I think the last thing that I wanted to call out was the actual choreography piece. So like we talk about the music and how the music is incorporated in the movement of the scenes and the actors, and especially Ansel's character. But they had a choreographer on scene who was synchronizing the movements of the actors to the film sequences, including like the music and the choreographic moments. And he had actually never done a film before. He had just done music work in the past. So he had worked with Asia, for example, who, if you ever see her music videos, it's kind of very similar. Like the choreography fits to the music in the beat specifically. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting that they had an actual choreographer come in and incorporate that and choreograph every moment, like that Harlem Shuffle scene. He incorporates every moment of that scene for him, for Elgert, for Jamie Foxx later. Like all of that is shot by shot.
That would make sense, because one of the things I was going to call out was the one kind of, well, I guess there's 2 action sequences that don't take place in motor vehicles, and the first one is that shootout with the undercover cops or whatever. And another thing I never noticed, when Bats does positively identify that yes, they're police, but you think Bats is just crazy, but it turns out they are actually cops. Did you, the 4th time watching this, never picked up on the fact that the dude who talks to them as soon as they get there and has the weird Kangol hat or whatever is the security guard at the bank? Did you track that when you were watching it?
No, I read about it as well, but no, like, I never tracked it.
I never pieced it together.
So
you only
subtle,
see him from
like
a distance,
it's not
so
noticeable.
fast, but it's like, oh, he's a security guard. Maybe that's not the same as a police officer.
I think that's like, do we think that's actually intentional, or do we think that's like an extra thing? I feel like that's a reuse.
They couldn't afford the masks, so they were like, we're just going to give you 2 roles, man.
They're like, listen, we're over budget. The tax subsidies are not doing it. We you gotta do 2 jobs. 100%.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it was.
I'm sorry, I'm deviating, but that shootout sequence, one of the things that I love in that goes along with your choreography point is when Buddy cocks Darling's gun for her in the middle of the shootout. I don't know if you clocked that or not.
Oh yeah,
But like
that whole
she's
scene
out
was
and he like
choreographed. Yep,
spins around her as he's cocking her gun in sequence with the music. It's such a small moment. It's a quarter-second moment, but it's beautiful.
it's weirdly hot. Yeah, I
Oh
was
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I was like,
they
okay,
fucked
oh
after
my
that
god,
for
all
sure.
right, yeah, for sure. You're like, yeah, somebody got laid after that for sure. Yeah, no, it was it was beautifully shot. That was a beautifully shot scene, and yeah, that's one of the ones that he does. I also wanted to call out that there are multiple points where this feels like, even though I don't think we have one favorite here, but there that whole scene, to your point, of like the avalanche under the 18-wheeler and the like whole chase with the Dodge Ram and all of that. I was like, this is a GMC ad. We're just showing how resilient the GMC Avalanche is and not the Ram, because the Ram rolled 1,200 times.
You just needed like John Cena giving a speech about how strong the vehicles are or whatever. I don't even know what company he's for, but if he did a voiceover that was like the new GMC,
100%.
Yeah.
Although, isn't that Will Arnett? That's he has the GMC voice. Isn't that his thing?
I don't know. I just know John Cena does truck commercials.
I only know that because of his podcast, to be fair.
Oh, okay. There you go.
But yeah, no, I just thought that was funny. I also saw the Saturn in there. Y'all, if you don't remember Saturns,
my first car was a
my
Saturn.
second car was a Saturn. I was just about to say I had a Saturn SL2. It was a piece of shit. And this has the Saturn in it, and it's like the Saturn Aura, which was supposed to be their like competitor to like the Corolla. And they're terrible. I've replaced a clutch on one. It's the worst repair job I've ever done in my life. And so yeah, I just thought, I immediately saw it and I was like, trauma. I don't need it. Like, get out of the Saturn. It's going to screw you. Absolutely not.
So I want to do a hard pivot because it sounds like you've basically got most of your talking points. I want to just touch base really fast on a few things.
I could make fun of this, a lot of other things, but I won't.
Can we make fun of the child actor? I think he's fine in the bank. I think that's kind of like clever to be like, we're going to bring in the nephew to case the joint. And even when he's in the bank, it's still kind of cute. Could do without his last line of, she's quiet as a mouse, and like, you probably wouldn't even have to use a gun on her. You just clap real loud. Boo. Like, whatever that fucking, like, you want to talk about bad script points? Like, that's
he literally is like, you could probably say boo to her and she would give you the money. And I was like,
yeah, that's
what
one
a
of the
little
weaker
twat.
lines in the script.
But it was inspired by, they had a bank robber consultant on this film who did take his nephew to case a bank.
I mean, it's a smart strategy, right? You don't look like a weirdo if you have a kid with you. Yeah. I just wonder if that kid's traumatized for life, knowing that he helped to get like a bunch of people robbed.
Yeah, no, he probably is 100%. We fuck up our kids early, I guess. But yeah, I was like, okay, I guess this is good because it's rooted in a good story. But it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Yeah. And then there was something later too that was like, it was like a Kevin Spacey moment with all of that I was like, ew, I'm not into it.
I could do without. So as we're getting into the conclusion here, even though we've already touched on some of it, I do like the build-up scene right before Bat's death, the way that piano is coming in louder, louder. The tension's building, until he like gets Bats killed. And that's what kicks off kind of our finale here. This is the second scene, which I don't think you need, but I get why they wanted it in here, sort of the parkour, like foot chase sequence. Yeah. I do like him picking up the screwdriver like on a whim, knowing, hey, I'm going to steal another car. So that's kind of a cool little moment. Yeah. The rest of it is just like a reason to work parkour into the script, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that part I feel like is a little unnecessary. The other things I will call out really quick is there's some certain parts that don't age well. You know, the Kevin Spacey of it all, like we said. They also use the R word a couple of times that I don't love.
It's the bad guys using the word, which I think we've talked about this before. It's like in Django, the people using the N-word for the most part are racist white people. So they're in character. And I like Kevin Spacey even isn't supposed to be a good guy throughout this. So the fact that they're using that word is like in character.
Well, and even weirdly, Kevin Spacey is like kind of defending him. He's like, he's not blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So it's not so much him. It's Griff like being like, you know, and so I didn't love that. I also thought the puns weren't great. Like every time a pun hit that's supposed to be funny, I was like, I don't remember if this was funny on a first watch, but on these, it didn't really land for me that much. So I didn't really love that. And then I did like the like Monsters Inc. references,
Don't
like
feed me lines
those.
from Monsters Inc.
Don't you feed me
Because he
lines from
figured out that it
Monsters
was a
Inc.
movie that his nephew liked, so he figured out it was a quote. That's great. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was funny. I really did like that. But then Kevin Spacey says this terrible line. He goes, "Can't take your foot off the gas for the next 25 years." And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it was so bad.
It just feels like some sort of misalignment on Edgar Wright writing this script and directing this film, and how he told the different actors to approach it. Because some
Yeah.
of them, ironically, it's not John Hamm hamming it up. It's Jamie Foxx and Kevin Spacey hamming it up. But
Yeah.
they feel like they're almost in their own movie at times. Like
Yes.
you think we're making a different film than what we're making.
Yes, I think that's a great call out, and could not have said it better myself. That's exactly what it is. They're in different movies sometimes. I think that's totally fair. And the vibes for Kevin Spacey to be like move into like a paternal role all of a sudden,
It's
where
from
it's from
nowhere.
nowhere. It does not transition well. I know we're supposed to perceive him as having this like great, this redemption moment. It does not pay off. You do
It's
not
also
feel
just
it.
like this. It's another shitty line where literally he's telling Baby to fuck off. He doesn't even want to talk to him on the phone. Baby shows up. He's still telling him to fuck off. And then he brings in the girl and he goes, "Oh, well, now I gotta help." It's lazy. I mean, I love Edgar
I,
Wright, and some of his movies are like, Shaun of the Dead is in my top 10 movie. I just
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
love
yeah.
that movie. And I love most of what Edgar Wright's done, but the script in this could have used some tweaking.
Could have used some love. And considering how long it took him to produce this film, you would have thought it would have been a little better. Going out on a high note, I want to call out a couple things that I do think are really good about the ending and like parts of it that are pretty poetic. And you hear that reference to the Dolly Parton song earlier in the film, where, they're talking about, how you can't have a rainbow without a little rain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to the end and he gets out of it's raining during that final car chase. It starts to rain. He's trying to escape. And then he goes to court, gets the book thrown at him, and he ends up getting the opportunity for parole. And then he walks out and there's a rainbow, and he gets to see her, and this, he pays his dues. He knows he did do, like, it feels just almost of like, hey, he did do the things. There was a reason why he was in this circumstance, but he did do these things. So he has to pay some kind of price, and then he's going to get to leave, kind of thing.
I've always read that is the ending. I've never read it any other way, but apparently there's some controversy on set of people interpreting it as he's just imagining this, like he's still in prison. Like, how do you take it?
Well, I was going to ask you the same thing. So they're divided on it. The Ansel and Lily James, they are divided on it. She thinks it actually happened. He thinks it didn't.
I mean, they make it a point to put in the script he's eligible for parole after 5 years, but they aren't really aged up. I mean, I guess 5 years might not change you that much. Her hair's a little different. Like, I choose to think that it's actually happening.
I think I hadn't really decided, but I guess because you said that, I would maybe and I'm not a devil's advocate person, don't make me an asshole, but I would just say, considering the other side of it, I find it very unlikely that the car is the exact same, right? It's in the fantasy.
Okay.
So the car is the exact same car. She is wearing not exactly the same, but very similar outfit. Her hair isn't really that different. It's a little different, but it's not that different. And it's not so much the aging for me, because I'm like, they're pretty
things, Mackenzie. So I've been trained to notice these kinds of things.
You have been trained. Yes. You're doing great.
Different.
You're doing great. You're like, there is a hair that has moved, so obviously it's different.
I've learned to just ask every single time. Your hair looks
is your hair different?
Did you do something? Oh, it's not okay. Yeah.
You should tell Skylar, because I got my hair did last week. I'm just saying. No, I agree. I think it's like not a super dramatic shift, but it is a little different. But the car being the same for me is the kind of the kicker that makes me feel like it could maybe be fake. Because
I mean, the car does make it to the end. It's shot up, and like, you're talking about the one that they get arrested in?
The car in the fantasy is different than everything else, is what I'm saying. The
car in I thought you said it was the same. Okay.
No, well, it is, but I'm saying he has a vision of this car earlier in the movie, right? but it's this convertible. It's this beautiful convertible. Then you flash to he's exiting the prison and she has the exact same car that he had in an unrelated vision earlier in the movie. And her dress has slightly changed and her hair has slightly changed, but the car is the same. And it feels super unlikely that she would have gotten her hands on that car and that exact classic convertible in that period of time.
I mean,
and
they were being
especially as
pen
like a
pals,
waitress.
and maybe he had money squirreled away elsewhere and was like, go get this money and buy this car and meet me at prison.
Meet me at prison.
I don't know what people write in pen pal notes.
I think that's exactly what they write. Meet me at prison. Like, pick me up from prison, boo. Love you. Like, but that part, it's like a Chevy Impala something. And it's very specific. It's like white with red leather interior. It's a very specific iteration of that car. So I find that part a little bit unlikely. But I also think it's beautiful how it's done either way, right? Like it's
the black white classic look. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like it's shot, like it's a gorgeous shot. It's like the rainbow part is gorgeous. The music, the Simon and Garfunkel of it all as you're leaving the prison, like that's a really great closing scene. And you want that for him. Yeah. You want that to be the thing that happened, because even though he did do these things, and like I said, I think it's reasonable to say that he maybe has to pay some kind of price, of course, for the things that he did. We do get, like you said, multiple times throughout that he's not a bad guy. He's ultimately a good guy. So, but he does his time, you know, does he do his time and get to leave? And I just love that it closes on that song, the Baby Driver and Simon and Garfunkel. And I fucking love Simon and Garfunkel. Like, it's just, it's a great way to close it out.
I assume, just knowing Edgar Wright, I assumed that he heard that song on like the radio or an iPod and was like, that'd be a good movie. And then just like built it. But I can't remember. I saw something. I wasn't paying super close attention to scrolling through the notes. It was a different song, but it was a song that he heard and was like, ooh, that would be a cool movie.
It was Brighton Rock. So it's Brighton Rock by Queen. And he had been listening to it and he heard it. And the story of that is that so he plays it at the beginning as well. Like, Brighton Rock is one of the first three songs or something. And it kind of foreshadows like the overall plot of the movie, to be honest, because it is about this character, this teenage boy who he's in a gang and doesn't really want to be, but he covers up his tracks and he's trying to hide that he's done all these murders and whatever. But he falls in love with this girl named Rose, and she is a waitress at a diner. And at the end of it, he has like all the crime has caught up with him. There's nothing he can do to escape it, but he gets chased by the police and he dies. So the only one who survives is Rose. And so like, that's part of what the theory at the end is too, is like, does he make it out and get to be with Rose, get to be with Lily James' character, or does he get caught and not able to do it? And I just love that this is based on some, like, this is my old lady statement of the day, but like these old school songs that are like actually about storytelling. Like, you're really telling a full-blown narrative in these songs. And I love that this is based off of one like that. And like, it's actually very similar to The Highwaymen, which is based off of Alfred Noyes, poet, and Lorena McKinnick did a song of it later. And it's like a 10-minute song, but it's a very similar story of this like ill-fated love, because this guy's a criminal and all these things. So it reminded me a lot of that.
They should do a movie around the story of the YMCA by the Village People. I'd watch that. I feel like that'd be very
You should call Edgar Wright. Say, hey, you got them. I have an idea for you. Since you're basing movies off songs, I got you.
I want to wrap up on this. We talked about that opening sequence, and I think you did mention Bell Bottoms by name. But yes. Fuck me, when we talk about songs that you jazzed, anytime I hear Bell Bottoms and I'm driving in my car, my foot goes down. I go 10 to 15 miles per hour faster. I cannot help myself because I will always associate that song with this movie. So
why didn't you pick that? Why did you pick that song?
Because I think Motley Crue goes straight to my heart. This is more of an instinct thing. Okay. So yeah. Okay. There's Fair also enough. Not as many lyrics in Bell Bottoms. It's instrumental for the most part. So
it's true. So with that in mind, we've got your song. We don't have your rating. What would you say I mean, maybe you should give us your first watch versus fourth watch
That's
rating
what
as
I'm
well.
having a hard time. I feel like if I had only watched this ever one time, I would
Yeah.
like it more than I do now. It's a weird
Yeah.
thing. And like I said, I've watched it twice in the last 8 months. So
Mm-hmm.
if I go with my gut of just thinking back to the first time I watched this and what they were aiming to do, what they ended up doing, and how exciting it was the first watch, I'd probably give it like an 8. I think it's a very good film. There's some flaws in the script and some silliness and campiness, and not everything works. But I think overall it's really good. I think nowadays I've probably dropped down to like a 7.5, but it's probably somewhere in between there. So like a 7.7 or a 7.8, because I don't think it's like a C quality film. It's like a solid B minus. But
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm around the same. I think I would go like 7.5. Mostly because like to me the writing stood out a lot this time actually on the second, or no, well, it wouldn't be my second, it would be my third. It's my first in a long while, but it would have been probably my third or fourth as well, I think. But the first watch, yeah, I remember first watch or earlier watch, to your point, just being like amped. Like everything feels like it's vibing, it feels like it's in sync, like it flows really well, the choreography hits, like, and I actually really enjoyed it, and all those things still hit, but the writing stood out to me this time as being like a little weak. The puns are not quite landing, and it wasn't really the things that aged that were the problem for me as much this time. It really
You just
wasn't. I mean,
the script isn't as great as you thought it was
yeah,
the first time.
yeah,
But I mean,
think
that's
so.
all that to say, if this is airing on TBS or TNT and the TV comes on and it's the first time, I'm watching at least that first sequence. Like those first two musical sequences are gonna stand the test of time. They're fucking incredible.
For sure. Hard agree. All right, friends. Well, if you haven't seen it yet, the first watch is golden, as we said. So
I mean, how would you feel if somebody made you watch F1 again in 8 months? It's like, go watch this.
No, I agree with you. Like, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, again, that was not the strong point of F1. It's like, I want to watch the sequences for sure. And like, again, we're in racing month and driving month. Like, we want to see the action sequences, and those hold up for sure. So yeah, check them out. But thanks for joining us on this one. This was super fun. Come back next week for one that will be less fun for me. Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Was very anti Talladega Nights, but I have never sat down and watched it beginning to end. Like I've seen 15-20 minute chunks at friends' houses and stuff, but this is from the era of Will Ferrell where I was a little fatigued of him. And I've come around to liking some of his stuff and not liking other things, but first time watching it. That's
a good perspective. Maybe that'll be a better time than I think.
So I pushed on Mackenzie a little bit because I was like, dude, I feel like I owe it to people. I'm sure you guys out there are going to be excited for us to do the episode, but it'll be my first official watch through.
And I caved. So you're welcome. All right. In the meantime, though,
follow us on our socials. We drink and we watch things, mostly Instagram, sometimes TikTok. You can get the video of this podcast on YouTube or on Spotify video. I actually did some like data searching this week and found out we actually have more listeners on like YouTube podcasts and Apple podcasts than we do Spotify. We should stop plugging Spotify. It's not, apparently nobody's on there. There's like one of you on there, but you can email us anytime. We drink and we watch things pod@gmail.com. Looking for new theme ideas, new movies you want to hear, any other fun facts or screw ups you want to send our way, hating on our opinions, loving our opinions. I don't know.
I mean, they obviously only love our opinions, and I will have you know that we have a very strong following on Spotify, actually. A whopping, I think, 30 people follow us on Spotify.
Well, thank you guys. We don't mean to downplay it. We're very appreciative of all of our listeners. We got episode 100 coming up, dude. We haven't even talked about it. Oh my
God, we have not talked about it. This is 98. Talladega Nights is 99, and I was so happy it wasn't 100. So we will celebrate on the 100th, I think. But yeah. All right, friends. For now, go have a drink and watch a thing. Cheers.
Cheers.